New York City, chaos erupted inside one of Manhattan's most prestigious dining spots, the Grand Orion. What should have been a flawless night of elegance and indulgence turned into a chilling nightmare that froze both guests and investigators in disbelief. Beneath dazzling chandeliers and fine crystal, a secret had been buried, one darker than anyone could imagine. At exactly 10:17 p.m., a desperate emergency call reached the NYPD. A panicked voice from the restaurant's kitchen staff reported something horrifying. The complaint? A foul stench, rancid, unmistakably human, seeping from the main freezer. Within half an hour, detectives and forensic experts were at the scene. What they uncovered sent a jolt of dread through the team. A severed human hand hidden among stacks of frozen food. How did a human body part end up in one of Manhattan's most elite kitchens? In tonight's story, we unravel a terrifying sequence of events that would shake New York to its core. Rain misted over Fifth Avenue that night, yellow street lamps shimmering across wet sidewalks. At 10:17 p.m. sharp, the call center phone rang. On the line was Jason Miller, a young kitchen assistant. His voice trembled. "My name is Jason. I work at the Grand Orion. There's a horrible smell from the basement freezer. It's like a dead body. I hear dripping. Please hurry. I'm scared." His words cut off, replaced by heavy breathing before the line went dead. The dispatcher froze, stunned. The Grand Orion was not just any restaurant. It sat high above Manhattan, a seven-star jewel serving diplomats, billionaires, and celebrities. It had never seen scandal. How could a report of a corpse come from such a pristine place? Within 30 minutes, a specialized response team was on its way. In the patrol car, Lieutenant Mark Dawson sat rigidly, gripping his notepad. He'd seen crime in every corner of the city, but the panic in Jason's voice gnawed at him. In the back sat Dr. Evelyn Carter, a seasoned forensic pathologist known for handling the city's most gruesome cases. As neon lights and skyscrapers glimmered past the car windows, she muttered, "If there's really a body inside that restaurant, New York won't forget this night." The lobby of the Grand Orion looked untouched. Wealthy patrons dined beneath glowing chandeliers, oblivious to the horror waiting below. Receptionists smiled gracefully, hiding the storm that was about to break. The basement door changed everything. A wave of damp, putrid air rolled upward. The deeper they went, the worse it became, clawing at throats and stomachs. Dawson ordered masks and gloves. The flickering fluorescent light painted the hallway in uneasy shadows. At the end stood a towering freezer, its door streaked with dark, dried trails across the white tile. "Blood," one officer whispered. The manager, Daniel Hayes, stepped forward, sweating as he keyed in the access code. The door clicked open. A blast of cold air spilled out, laced with rot. One officer gagged, retching against the wall. Evelyn covered her mouth, eyes widening. Inside, buried among vacuum-sealed meats, a torn garbage bag revealed its contents. A human hand, frozen stiff, fingers curled tight, nails blackened by death. It was real. Undeniably human. Silence fell. Even the drip of water from overhead pipes echoed like thunder. Lieutenant Dawson clenched his jaw. This was no routine crime. This was something much darker, lurking inside New York's crown jewel of luxury dining. By midnight, the evidence was sealed inside a cold container, escorted by armed officers. The restaurant staff were rounded up into the lobby, faces pale, eyes darting. Among them stood Chef Victor Ramirez, the head chef. His reputation, demanding, flawless, intimidating. Unlike the others, Victor's posture was steady, his stare blank, almost detached. Dawson's gaze fixed on him. "Chef Ramirez, were you the last to access the freezer?" Victor nodded calmly. "Around 2 in the morning. I checked the inventory." Meanwhile, Jason Miller trembled in the corner, repeating that he only smelled something strange before calling police. Footage cleared him of tampering with the freezer. That left only one man, Chef Ramirez, as the last to enter. At the forensic lab, Dr. Carter studied the hand. "This isn't from any animal. It's human," she declared. Within the same bag, strands of long hair surfaced, suggesting another victim. A search of Victor's sleek Manhattan apartment revealed butcher knives, gloves, and a gym bag, raising immediate suspicion. Around the same time, a report came in. Emily Foster, a young waitress from the restaurant, had been missing for 3 days. Her best friend, Claire Thompson, handed police Emily's diary. Its pages detailed her mounting fear of Chef Ramirez, describing him as unpredictable and menacing. Inside the interrogation room, Victor remained eerily calm. When Dawson confronted him with Emily's disappearance, he replied coldly, "I'm a chef. I handle ingredients. That's all." His detachment unsettled the entire room. But soon the lab confirmed it. Traces found in Victor's apartment matched Emily. This wasn't a suspicion anymore. It was murder. Rain battered Manhattan's skyline that night, as if echoing the city's dread. The investigation circled back to the Grand Orion. Dawson's team swept the basement with thermal scanners. Something didn't add up. The freezer wall seemed thicker than the blueprint suggested. Behind one false panel, they uncovered a narrow passageway. The stench was suffocating. Flashlights revealed damp concrete, water dripping from pipes, shadows dancing along the walls. Inside, a steel table sat in the center, surrounded by containers filled with murky liquid. Black plastic bags were stacked neatly, each tagged with coded labels. Dr. Carter pressed her hand against one bag. The texture beneath wasn't meat. It was human tissue. Hair strands confirmed it. There were more victims. The case was far from over. The nightmare had just begun. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Mark Dawson ordered the team to pull the restaurant's internal CCTV, hoping to trace anyone entering the secret corridor. On the screen, a disturbing clip emerged. A young woman walking into the hidden passage with Chef Victor Ramirez. The footage matched the time frame when Emily Foster's severed hand was found. No other individual was seen entering or leaving. This pointed to one chilling conclusion. Ramirez had been using the corridor repeatedly in a methodical manner. Deeper inside, Dr. Evelyn Carter uncovered a notebook filled with Ramirez's handwriting. Inside were coded entries, each corresponding to the black bags on the racks. The markings hinted at an internal system of cataloging, signaling both the order and the possible timeline of when victims had been stored. Dawson and Carter quickly realized the horrifying truth. Ramirez had planned everything in advance, maintaining body parts in an organized sequence. This was no random crime, it was a continuing operation that had gone unnoticed for months, maybe years. Every step the investigators took down that suffocating corridor weighed heavier on them. The dripping pipes overhead echoed against the silence, pressing on their chests. Each bag, each coded note, was undeniable proof of a monstrous design hidden beneath the glitter of the Grand Orion. Among the racks, Carter found additional notes and strands of hair, possible remains of other victims. Carefully, she secured them as evidence. Dawson knew then, Emily Foster wasn't the first victim. This was only the surface of a far larger nightmare. The tension thickened as the team faced the grim realization. The Grand Orion, a temple of wealth and luxury, concealed a darkness capable of shaking the entire city. In that damp corridor, every coded bag, every scrap of evidence was a window into cruelty that had been silently thriving beneath Fifth Avenue. This was no longer a single homicide investigation. It was the unmasking of a hidden system. That same night, as they illuminated the hidden passage, pressure mounted on the investigative team. Portable lamps threw shifting shadows across wet concrete walls. The smell of decay gnawed at their breathing, every inhale reminding them of what was buried there. Carter moved methodically, documenting bag codes and placements, while Dawson monitored his officers, ensuring no evidence slipped through their hands. On one rack, Carter discovered a bag unlike the others, larger, oddly shaped. The code written on its label differed from Emily's sequence. Initial analysis suggested these bags belonged to victims never reported missing, likely temporary staff, isolated tenants, or people whose absences wouldn't stir alarm. It was clear, Ramirez deliberately chose victims who were vulnerable and easy to erase. As Carter recorded each finding, Dawson reviewed security footage from the rear entrance. The cameras showed multiple young figures slipping into the building late at night, some nervous, others hesitant. In one clip, a young woman walked toward the basement, but never appeared leaving. The camera's blind spot concealed her fate. The recordings exposed the chef's careful method, selecting targets few would look for, erasing them quietly, and ensuring no suspicion reached the surface. Back inside the corridor, Carter uncovered small items inside certain bags, shreds of fabric, bits of jewelry, personal belongings that spoke to the lives of other victims. Every item was bagged and labeled, forming a map of Ramirez's cruelty. This was no accident. This was a system. Dawson ordered a full measurement of the hidden corridor. What they found sent another shiver through the team. The tunnel was longer than the blueprints showed, branching into smaller passages lined with additional racks of bags. Each rack bore numbers that aligned perfectly with the codes in Ramirez's notes. The neat order suggested the number of victims was far greater than anyone had imagined. The investigators pressed on, their footsteps echoing off wet concrete. The deeper they went, the more suffocating the stench became. Carter studied one of the bags connected to Emily's series. Early analysis confirmed the presence of consistent biological traces, proving Emily wasn't the only one subjected to this fate. The grim reality settled in. This wasn't just a murder case. It was a well-planned, systematic chain of abductions and preservation. 4 hours, the team pressed forward, rotating shifts but never breaking focus. Each bag was inspected cautiously without breaking seals. Officers logged every note, every trace, fearing that even one misstep might destroy critical evidence. More belongings surfaced: scarves, watches, and trinkets, belonging to people whose names might never be known. The scale of the crime was expanding with every step. The corridor seemed endless, portable lights stretching their shadows across dripping walls. Dawson reminded his team to remain sharp. Each bag was more than evidence. It was the silent story of another victim. Above them, diners still clinked glasses beneath glittering chandeliers, unaware that below their feet lay a chamber of horrors that could rattle New York if revealed. But Dawson knew this was only the beginning. The corridor continued, lined with neatly stacked bags, stretching further into darkness. Carter documented tirelessly, recording codes and correlating them to Ramirez's notes. Then, deep in one of the branches, she spotted a bag with a code absent from the notebooks. Its shape was grotesque, unlike the others. Digital records recovered from Ramirez's devices hinted that this code belonged to another victim, someone never reported missing. The pattern grew clear. Ramirez targeted those who could vanish without notice: seasonal employees, newcomers, or people with no family ties in the city. Every victim had been chosen with precision. This was not the work of impulse, it was a cold calculation. Cross-referencing his logs, Carter saw a sequence. Each code aligned with a timeline, each entry marking a victim's disappearance. Ramirez had tracked every move, every abduction with chilling order. Back on the CCTV feed, Dawson studied more clips. Several figures entering the building at night, none caught leaving. One woman's image froze him. Her hesitation at the basement door, her final steps into the shadows. After that, nothing. The chef had engineered a flawless system, rendering his victims invisible. The hidden corridors stretched farther than anyone expected, branching into even more racks stacked with black bags. Each rack matched Ramirez's coded system precisely. Then Carter uncovered more belongings: a bracelet, a scarf, a broken phone case. Each was logged, each piece an echo of a life stolen. Hours bled away as the team continued their work, exhaustion creeping in. But no one dared stop. The silence of the tunnels, the echo of dripping water, and the oppressive stench weighed heavy, but their focus never wavered. Carter's external tests on the bags linked to Emily revealed consistent traces, confirming that others had suffered her same fate. The evidence painted a terrifying picture. Some victims may have been alive when first sealed inside. Dawson's chest tightened. This was not a killer acting in madness. This was a mastermind engineering a cycle of abduction, storage, and concealment. Ramirez's digital files laid out schedules, entries, times, proof that each victim had been tracked before being taken. His prey was always the same: people alone, people unnoticed, people the city would forget. This was not impulse. This was design. The corridor's atmosphere grew even heavier, each step amplifying the weight of silence. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the damp walls, while the steady drip of water echoed like a clock counting down. Lieutenant Mark Dawson kept the team sharp, logging every coded tag, every position of the black bags, marking each personal belonging with precision. Every piece of evidence became a fragment of a hidden map, a silent network of victims and their untold stories. The team understood. One careless move could cost them the chance to reach someone still alive. Above them, the Grand Orion's glittering chandeliers gleamed with luxury, yet beneath, its basement concealed a darkness no one had dared imagine. Each coded bag, each note, was proof of something orchestrated, an organized machine of cruelty. Chef Victor Ramirez was no ordinary offender. He had engineered a systematic web, where victims were stored, ordered, and guarded like possessions. The investigators realized this was only the beginning, a single night in a labyrinth of horror. Every cautious step forward brought them closer to the twisted core of Ramirez's design. That night, in the basement of the Grand Orion, the truth began to surface. The air thickened with every breath. The corridor stretched into shadow, its narrow walls lined with black racks illuminated only by trembling portable lamps. Each step birthed long, flickering silhouettes, while a suffocating stench mixed with something foreign and unsettling. Dr. Evelyn Carter moved carefully, cataloging each bag, documenting every detail, while Dawson kept the unit's formation tight. At the corridor's far end, Evelyn paused, her hand resting on a bag softer than the rest. Her eyes narrowed as she examined the outer surface, spotting subtle differences. Dawson stepped closer, his tone firm, directing the team to prepare for a careful opening. As the zipper slid down, silence engulfed the group. Inside, a young woman, alive, trembling yet conscious. The team froze, shock rippling through them. This was no longer just investigation. It had become a rescue. The woman, early 20s, listened quietly, her fear controlled but evident. Evelyn knelt beside her, speaking gently, while Dawson swiftly coordinated extraction to move her from the suffocating corridor. The atmosphere shifted, urgency replaced routine. Every second now counted towards saving a life. Evelyn steadied the woman, documenting her clothing and belongings, potential links to others still missing. Early analysis pointed to her background, likely a temporary worker or someone renting in Manhattan with little connection nearby. It fit Ramirez's profile perfectly, targets chosen for their invisibility, people who could vanish unnoticed. The discovery confirmed what Dawson suspected. Ramirez's every move was calculated. Checking his digital files again, Dawson uncovered chilling schedules and patterns, evidence that others were likely still alive. Records showed individuals entering late at night, never seen exiting. The codes and racks weren't random, they were a system of control. The team began to grasp the depth of Ramirez's cruelty. This was no ordinary case, it was far more intricate and dangerous. The hours that followed were suffocatingly focused. Evelyn inspected every bag meticulously, noting codes and belongings, while Dawson directed their search with precision. The damp stench lingered, shadows pressed close, but discipline never faltered. In another corridor branch, Evelyn found personal items stacked with unsettling neatness, mementos of other victims. Dawson documented it all, recognizing the chilling order behind Ramirez's system. Every bag, every code revealed structure. This was not random violence but a methodical architecture of crime. The basement remained a theater of dread, the lamps casting restless shadows as water dripped steadily overhead. They knew, this was the very heart of Ramirez's network. Each step was a descent into his plan. Dawson ensured the rescued victim was secure before planning further exploration. Above, the Grand Orion sparkled with false glamour, while below, cruelty thrived in silence. Every bag, every code, every personal belonging reinforced the truth. This was an organized system of torment. The living survivor was proof. Ramirez didn't just kill, he controlled. A predator who required strategy, not chance, to defeat. The team realized this night was only the start of unraveling horrors far greater. Every step through the hidden corridor pulled them closer to the full blueprint of his crimes. The pressure inside the basement thickened. The corridor stretched endlessly, racks lined with shadowed bags under faint, shaking light. The dripping water and shifting silhouettes drove home the suffocating weight of what they faced. Evelyn pressed on, cataloging with steady hands, while Dawson coordinated. Then, another discovery. A bag softer than the rest. Dawson ordered a cautious opening. Inside, another young woman, early 20s, weak but alive. Relief clashed with dread. Another life saved, but another confirmation of Ramirez's cruelty. The rescue began again. Evelyn calmed the woman, whispering assurance, while Dawson organized the extraction. Yet, the team could not neglect the untouched branches of the corridor. Each move was deliberate. One misstep could endanger both victims and investigation. With the second survivor secured, Evelyn tagged fresh evidence, personal items that hinted at more victims. Patterns repeated. Another temporary worker. Another tenant easily forgotten. Ramirez had chosen his victims with terrifying clarity. Schedules revealed more who had entered this building late at night, never leaving again. The codes and racks, his way of hiding them in plain sight. The investigators fully grasped it now. This was not improvisation, it was a machine of precision. Hours passed as Evelyn cataloged every item while Dawson led the search deeper into branching tunnels. The smell, the shadows, the oppressive silence weighed on them, but their determination didn't break. 2 survivors proved there was still hope of finding others. In another section, Evelyn discovered belongings that clearly tied to more missing people. Dawson logged every position, each code a piece of the puzzle. Every clue confirmed the truth. Ramirez was not a spontaneous predator, but the architect of a hidden system. Tension only grew as they advanced, many passages still untouched. Shadows lengthened, every step a reminder of the risk. Dawson kept the group focused, securing the rescued women, while guiding the rest forward. One mistake could unravel everything. That night, beneath the Grand Orion's glittering chandeliers, lay a horror darker than anyone dared believe. Every bag, every code, every belonging testified to one reality. Ramirez had built an empire of cruelty. And the discovery of 2 survivors confirmed it. His plan was one of systematic control, designed to hold captives indefinitely. This made him an extraordinary threat. The investigators realized the night wasn't only about collecting evidence. It had become the start of a rescue that would ultimately unravel Victor Ramirez's entire design. That night, the hidden passage beneath the Grand Orion felt more suffocating than ever. Black racks stood in precise order, stretching for meters, reflecting the flickering glow of portable lamps, their shadows crawling across the damp walls with every step the team took. The stale odor and biting chill filled the air, pressing down on everyone's resolve. Dr. Evelyn Carter stayed sharp, logging codes and belongings from the black bags, while Lieutenant Mark Dawson made sure the team held formation and the rescued women remained safe. Down an unchecked branch, Evelyn paused at a bag, different in size, softer than the rest. With a subtle hand signal, she called Dawson over. He instantly ordered the team to approach with precision. The zipper peeled open, revealing their 3rd survivor, a woman no older than 23, drained but still conscious. Relief washed over the team, tangled with the weight of urgency. They knew precision alone would determine success. Dawson directed the woman's immediate extraction to safety, securing other branches as they advanced. Evelyn crouched beside her, whispering reassurance, steadying her trembling hands. Every step mattered here. This corridor was the very heart of Ramirez's chilling storage system. While tending to the victim, Evelyn continued tagging bags with notes and belongings that might connect to others still missing. Preliminary analysis revealed another tragic pattern. She too was a temporary worker, a tenant rarely noticed, an exact match for Ramirez's calculated victim pool. Every move had been deliberate. Dawson combed Ramirez's encrypted files again, the records laying out schedules and victim timelines, proving others were still hidden. Several had entered late at night. None had walked out. The codes and storage racks weren't random. They were Ramirez's system of control. The team began to see the staggering precision of his methods and the depth of the case, far beyond their first estimates. For hours, focus never broke. Evelyn pressed forward bag by bag, while Dawson refined strategies for navigating deeper. The damp air and creeping shadows pushed at their nerves, but discipline kept them steady. The 3rd victim's survival gave them renewed hope. Others could still be saved. In one dark branch, Evelyn uncovered more personal belongings, likely tied to the missing. Dawson carefully logged each rack and code, realizing this was not chaos, but a network engineered with terrifying order. The storage methods and codes weren't merely records, they were the keys to cracking Ramirez's scheme. The truth grew undeniable. He wasn't impulsive. He was the architect of a calculated system. The pressure thickened as they pushed through twisting corridors, many still untouched. The lamps threw shadows that stretched with each step, heightening the tension. Dawson balanced progress with protection, keeping the rescued victims secured. Every movement had to be exact. One slip could risk everything. Then Evelyn noticed something chilling. Bags carrying markings in sequence. Ramirez wasn't just storing people, he was arranging them in order. It proved an even higher level of organization. Every code, every item, every possession formed a puzzle waiting to be solved. Above them, the Grand Orion's opulent dining halls masked a darkness deeper than anyone imagined. The 3rd rescue confirmed it. Ramirez's captives weren't random. They were controlled, cataloged, and held with ruthless design. This demanded both careful investigation and precise rescue operations. The team accepted that tonight was just the beginning, a long mission to dismantle Ramirez's entire network and free every hidden victim. In the basement, the atmosphere thickened again. The corridor extended, racks glinting beneath wavering lamplight. Shadows clung to their footsteps, while the cold air weighed down their concentration. Evelyn pressed on, her notes steady, recording codes and belongings, while Dawson ensured coordination and the safety of those already rescued. At the far end of a new corridor, Evelyn found a bag unlike the others. She signaled. Dawson led the team in with caution. But when it was opened, shock rippled through the group. Inside weren't human remains but encrypted digital documents. Files, containing Ramirez's victim lists, codes, schedules, and notes. Evidence of his entire control system. The team realized they had just found the master key, the blueprint linking every victim to their hidden location. Tension surged. They held in their hands the means to dismantle the system. With this map, they could begin predicting where others were trapped. Evelyn cataloged each code, building a visual structure of the labyrinth beneath them. Dawson pushed for speed and precision. The knowledge they now held meant time was critical. More belongings along the way reinforced a disturbing truth. Ramirez had arranged victims chronologically. He wasn't just hiding them. He was staging them. The team realized their opponent wasn't just a predator. He was an architect of cruelty. Each code, each item, each sequence was a thread of a larger puzzle. As they advanced deeper, tension thickened. Branches sprawled in every direction, many still unexplored. The portable lamps painted moving shadows across damp stone walls, every flicker feeding the pressure. Dawson kept the group sharp, securing survivors while leading exploration. Every movement had to be deliberate, no margin for error. Then Evelyn uncovered another planted bag, empty but staged as bait. It proved Ramirez wasn't only methodical. He was cunning, leaving obstacles to mislead and slow them down. Each clue demanded careful analysis before advancing. The team now grasped the sheer depth of his planning, layers of precision designed to obstruct discovery. With the recovered files and belongings, they began piecing together a full map of the network. Every corridor, every rack, every number tied to a victim. The psychological weight grew heavier with every step. They knew dozens could still be hidden, every second critical. Speed and accuracy had to coexist. One mistake could undo it all. The files became their compass, guiding them through Ramirez's labyrinth. Victim codes, sequences, storage, each piece interlocked into a grim design. They were no longer chasing a man. They were dismantling a system. That night, beneath the Grand Orion's glittering chandeliers, the basement revealed a network more complex than anyone imagined. The encrypted documents gave investigators the leverage they needed. Ramirez wasn't just dangerous, he was the mastermind of an engineered system of captivity. And now the team had a path to dismantle it step by step, life by life. As the early hours pressed on, silence filled the basement. The narrow corridor stretched, lined with black racks that gleamed under shaking lamplight, shadows trailing the team's movements. The damp chill clawed at their minds, but focus held firm. Evelyn continued her inspections, cataloging with methodical care, while Dawson coordinated with precision, keeping survivors safe and the mission alive. In a yet unexplored branch of the corridor, Dr. Evelyn Carter spotted another bag marked differently from the others. She immediately signaled to Lieutenant Mark Dawson. The team approached carefully, opening the bag according to strict protocol. Inside they found the fourth victim, a young woman barely in her 20s, weak but miraculously still alive. The room's energy shifted, relief mixed with urgency. Every second counted now, and their choices would determine whether the remaining victims lived or died. Dawson quickly ordered the survivor to be escorted to safety while the rest of the unit pressed forward into the basement's hidden passageways. Evelyn leaned close to the girl, whispering words of comfort, keeping her from spiraling into panic. Each move had to be deliberate. This basement was the very core of Victor Ramirez's concealed network. As she oversaw the survivor's condition, Evelyn marked every bag and item with additional codes for analysis. Early impressions showed this victim, like the others, was a temporary worker, someone with few ties and rarely noticed. The pattern was clear. Ramirez had meticulously selected and cataloged his prey, arranging them with chilling precision. Dawson reviewed the encrypted digital files seized earlier. They contained schedules, coded entries, and disturbing notes tracking each victim. Slowly, a grim map of Ramirez's system began to take shape, a timeline of abductions paired with the labyrinthine corridors where victims were stored. The psychological weight bore down on the team. They weren't just rescuing lives, they were navigating a predator's organized maze. 4 hours, Evelyn cataloged evidence while Dawson plotted strategies to probe deeper. The air reeked of damp concrete and decay. Their portable lamps cast sharp shadows, stretching endlessly along the narrow walls. The discovery of the fourth survivor proved the network extended far beyond their expectations. In one passage, Evelyn uncovered a personal trinket deliberately placed, a false clue. It was a clear sign. Ramirez wasn't just systematic, he was cunning. He had planted psychological traps to disorient investigators. The team now understood every object might be a lie, a diversion. With deeper corridors still unexplored, tension mounted. The lamps quivered against the darkness as Dawson kept the team steady, while ensuring the rescued girl was moved to a controlled area. Each step was executed with care. They were walking through a puzzle designed to test precision and endurance. Yet, a pattern was emerging. Ramirez had not only arranged victims by time, but he had also coded each corridor, indicating the order and likely locations of others still alive. Above, the Grand Orion sparkled with luxury, while below, its basement revealed a monstrous system of captivity. The discovery of the fourth survivor underscored the urgency of their work. Every code, every bag was a piece of Ramirez's methodical cruelty. The investigators knew the next stage required exact planning. Any misstep could cost another life. The pressure reached its peak as the team realized multiple branches remained unchecked. Evelyn documented each new clue, while Dawson began structuring their next tactical move. This night marked a turning point. Their actions in the coming hours would either dismantle Ramirez's network, or leave more victims trapped in the shadows beneath Fifth Avenue. The corridor stretched for several meters, its black racks towering on both sides, reflecting the trembling light of their lamps. The chill seeped into their bones and the stench pressed against their nerves. Evelyn continued cataloging each bag and coded mark, while Dawson coordinated his officers and monitored the survivors already evacuated. Suddenly, Evelyn froze. Her flashlight had caught another bag with an unfamiliar code. She gestured sharply. The team advanced cautiously and began the careful opening process. Inside lay another shock, the fifth victim. Another young woman, about 21, barely conscious but still alive. Once again the atmosphere flipped, relief shadowed by urgency. Dawson ordered the survivor immediately removed to safety while the team pressed deeper into unexplored corridors. Evelyn gently reassured the victim, her voice soft. "You're safe now. You're not alone." Every movement from then on was calculated. This basement wasn't just storage, it was the heart of Ramirez's network. As Evelyn stabilized the victim, she marked each surrounding item. The pattern repeated. Ramirez had targeted the unseen, the vulnerable, those who could vanish without stirring notice. His cold calculations left no doubt. This was deliberate, methodical, monstrous. Dawson studied the additional digital records. Diagrams of corridor branches, victim codes, chronological storage logs. The horrifying structure became undeniable. Ramirez had constructed not only a holding system, but a psychological game meant to mislead anyone who dared uncover it. The strain on the team was unbearable. They knew every wrong step could seal a victim's fate. 4 hours, Evelyn documented every new code while Dawson built a mental map for rescues. The winding tunnels demanded patience and discipline. The earlier rescues gave them direction but also heightened the urgency. In another branch, Evelyn uncovered a personal object, a fake trail clearly placed to confuse them. Ramirez was not only precise, he was manipulative, setting traps to toy with their minds. Each code, each clue was dissected meticulously. Ramirez wasn't an ordinary criminal. He was orchestrating a system designed to test human limits. Together, Dawson and Evelyn began constructing a broader map of his network, predicting where other captives might be. Their focus never wavered. Every second was a fight against time and against the mind of a predator. The oppressive basement weighed on them, but they now had crucial insight to guide the next stage of operations. Above, the Grand Orion's chandeliers glittered, while below, investigators confronted Ramirez's twisted foresight. It was no longer about evidence alone, it was about breaking through a system meant to control and deceive. The psychological strain was suffocating. Every corridor left unchecked meant another victim in peril. Evelyn logged the most critical codes while Dawson pieced together the strategy that might finally dismantle Ramirez's entire design. They knew this moment was decisive. The next choices would either expose the full extent of Ramirez's crimes, or bury the victims in silence forever. The deeper they pressed, the darker the corridors became. Narrow halls stretched 3 to 4 meters, the walls flickering under lamplight, shadows crawling across the concrete. The damp chill gnawed at their endurance. Evelyn cataloged every item methodically, while Dawson coordinated positions and ensured rescued victims remained secure. Then, another discovery. Hidden behind a towering rack, Evelyn found a small box wedged into the shadows. She froze, then gave the signal. The team braced themselves, knowing this box might contain the next piece of Ramirez's terrible puzzle. However, an unsettling weight still lingered after everything that had unfolded. Chef Victor Ramirez had finally been captured, restrained, and was now set to face justice for the methodical horrors he had orchestrated. The countless documents and coded records uncovered in the basement of the Grand Orion became undeniable evidence, pieces that sealed the case once and for all. For the rescue team, The victory was not defined solely by bravery but by remarkable coordination, patience, and precision under unbearable pressure. Among the rescued survivors, one who had once seemed the weakest turned to Dr. Evelyn Carter with tear-filled eyes, whispering in a trembling yet heartfelt voice, "Thank you, you kept us alive." Those few words silenced the entire room. The team, exhausted but deeply moved, understood in that instant that their fight had not been in vain. The basement that had once been soaked with dread was now filled with gratitude and quiet relief. Lieutenant Mark Dawson gathered everyone together for a moment of reflection, his tone steady but filled with warmth. "We succeeded not just because of skill or strategy, but because we cared for one another, because we valued human life. That is the lesson we must carry forward." His words struck deeply, reminding the team that beneath the uniforms and responsibilities, the essence of their mission was humanity itself. Dr. Evelyn Carter added softly, "What we endured tonight wasn't only a test of technical ability, but of compassion and resilience. Every soul we brought back is proof that the smallest act of care can mean the difference between despair and survival." The air shifted. The basement, once consumed by fear, had transformed into a space for reflection and gratitude. With the survivors now safely escorted above, the team documented every detail and handed the evidence to the authorities. Chef Ramirez was firmly in the custody of the law, prepared to face the weight of justice. Yet, the rescuers knew their duty extended beyond capture. The victims deserved healing and justice demanded persistence. As dawn broke across New York City, Lieutenant Dawson and Dr. Carter stood by the tall windows of the Grand Orion, watching the sky turn brighter. Relief washed over them, though the haunting shadows of the night would remain in memory forever. They realized that hidden in every tragedy lies a lesson, the importance of patience, solidarity, and empathy, that even in suffocating darkness, humanity can carve a path to light through courage and careful resolve. That morning became more than just the end of a mission. It was a symbol of triumph, not only over a predator but also in affirming the priceless value of human life. Both survivors and rescuers carried away a lasting truth. Courage, compassion, and unwavering focus are the keys to surviving the most impossible battles. The majestic restaurant above now stood as a silent witness to what had unfolded below its grand floors. Before leaving the basement, Dr. Carter turned to Dawson and whispered, "This was never only about catching Victor. It was about saving lives and restoring hope." Dawson nodded, knowing this night had reshaped them all. The greatest revelation of that night was simple yet profound. Human life cannot be replaced. Compassion for one another is the strongest weapon against cruelty, and careful, deliberate choices can tip the balance toward survival. The basement, once suffocating with fear, now lay quiet as the first rays of sunlight streamed across its corridors, carrying the promise of renewal. Courage, unity, and empathy had prevailed, leaving an enduring reminder for all who witnessed the struggle. And friends, as we reflect on this story, there are vital lessons we can carry into our own lives. Always remain aware of your surroundings. Do not dismiss small details. Sometimes vigilance can save more than just yourself. Work together and look out for each other. Facing adversity alone makes every battle heavier. Cooperation lightens the burden. Remember that human life is priceless. Every decision we make should be guided by respect and compassion. Empathy does more than shape who we are, it can change outcomes entirely. Do not fear taking the right step, even when pressure and risk weigh heavily. Just as this team showed, courage and precision often decide whether hope endures. And finally, never forget to honor life itself and to learn from every experience, no matter how frightening. Every trial carries a lesson for those willing to listen. So remain vigilant, act with courage, and above all, let compassion guide your choices.